Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video we have a Retribution Paladin getting started guide in Legion Remix. Now the getting started part's important, and it's for multiple reasons. One, because, well, we're going to cover a little bit of what you do when you first get started, right? Let's say you didn't get started very much on the opening day, or your EU and it's just coming up today, etc. And also because early on, what's thought of as the best can actually change as people progress further and further, more than they did on the PTR. There's different people playing than play on the PTR. So there's a lot of nuance, and we know from Mists of Pandaria remix that lots of stuff changes. The best bronze farms change, the best abilities can change, best ability combinations, etc. All these things can change. So this is just a getting started guide to get you on your feet and what to do. So obviously you're going to choose Ret Paladin if you want to be a Ret Paladin, or that is your second specialization if you're playing Holy or Prod or whatever, right? And so first let's talk about Ret Paladin specifically. So what kind of talents are you going to want to play for MoP Remix? So let's go ahead and get into that. And then we'll go over stats after that, actually. So let's get into these not MoP Remix, Legion Remix talents. Sorry if I said MoP multiple times there. I'm not quite max level yet. I made tonight. I got to level 54. I might play a little bit more after this video. If you are starting off slowly, I tell you, it will increase in speed once you get to like level 25-ish, and we can mention why that is as well. So these are kind of the talents that I have so far, and we'll talk about how to fill in the rest of this tree. I will try to basically just import. I'm not max level yet, right? So I don't have all the talents. I'll try to import talents. I don't think it's going to work though, because I don't have the hero talents unlocked yet. From retail, I could have tried to, but I think it'll fail because I have all these talents. So let's see if there's anything covered behind the camera. You can see lead the charge. You can see these 2N Seal of Might. We are going to take up Dusk and Dawn down here. So that'll be the only one that you won't be able to see on the screen that we're going to talk about on the Paladin side is of Dusk and Dawn. So you'll basically want to copy these talents. You can pause the video, whatever. And you can switch up whatever you want, of course, right? And we'll talk about some of the things you can switch up. But these are just basically, talents that are good for leveling, talents that are good for dungeons, talents that are good for everything. You could switch up your talents when you're soloing a raid versus soloing a dungeon, or when you're in a group versus when you're solo, right? This is just a general template to go off of if you don't quite know what to do. Maybe you don't normally play Paladin, but you want to play Paladin in Legion Remix or whatever. This could maybe help you out a little bit more. So when it comes to the Paladin side, you can kind of copy most of these. You have to take some stuff out in the middle here just to get to the bottom. So you might not use some of this stuff too much, but you can generally copy these. Once you get down here, you do want to get 2 in the Seal of Might, and then we do want the Dusk and Dawn, the one that's covered by my camera right now, for damage as well. You'll want this Vengeful Wrath talent for damage as well down here. And then actually, other than that, you can do kind of whatever you want because it's not damage related. And so you could Inspired Guard's a decent one to take. There's a lot of them that are decent ones to take, but really just of Dusk and Dawn that's not taken behind my camera, and then Vengeful Wrath, 2 in that, and that's kind of like your max damage build, right? And other than that, you can play with the points, play with them however you like. And then when we come over to the Ret side, it's going to be a little bit more choice, but you can generally copy these because for most stuff you're going to want these abilities for most content anyways. You do not have to take Divine Hammer if you don't like Divine Hammer. I have it taken right now. If you really hate it, it's not going to matter too much in Legion Remix. However, if it was the old Divine Hammer with the really good extension, it would have been absolutely crazy. I mean, it already was 100% anyways, but yeah, it would have been easily 100% in Legion Remix with the old version of it. So you can play that or not play that, it doesn't matter. Once you get down into here, I'm taking Final Reckoning because of I just more AoE centered, and depending what content you're doing, it might not live long enough for Execution Sentence. But if you're like soloing a raid, that'll be something you might want to switch over to Execution Sentence with Executioner's Will down underneath it. That's like if you're soloing a raid later on, like Mythic Raid or whatever, you're solo, you're fully geared out, fully powered up, and you want to do that. Other talents that we'll be taking here is Seething Flames. We're going to be taking Radiant Glory, and we're going to be taking Burn to Ash. So this little triangle here. Once I have that, I'll probably switch back to Crusade up here. So I have it as Avenging Wrath right now. Once I get my Radiant Glory, I'll probably switch this back to Crusade. I just didn't want the 2-minute cooldown of Crusade and set, so I have the 1-minute cooldown of Avenging Wrath. But once it turns into 30 seconds, I'll probably be switching this back to Crusade. That's another good thing to note there. And then on this side, I'm probably going to, especially early on, lean on these more AoE talents on the right side. So Penitence, Burning Crusade, and Searing Light. And then on the left side, these are, if you're not familiar with Retribution Paladin, these are more your single target things. So then for this particular build, I would go like 3 here, 3 here, and then I think there would be 2 left. So I would go like Abjuration and Blades of Light, and we just wouldn't have, you know, Divine Arbiter or Executioner's Will. There's no reason to take Executioner's Will with Final Reckoning. So basically, if you want to focus on more AoE and outdoor world stuff, kind of go on this right side here. And if you already are ready to go solo raids and stuff, then you can go over here with that. In a video later on down the line, once everything's unlocked and I'm max level and everything, I can actually, you know, import or share some talent builds and stuff with you guys. You can always watch, if you're really, really deep in the weeds, you can always go watch my Ret Pally guide for 11.2 for retail. It's going to have all the talents in there. It's going to tell you how to play the rotation and stuff like that. This is just a getting started guide. We're not going to go that deep into it, but if you want to go that deep into it, you can go watch that 11.2 guide and you can go deep. So now let's go ahead. Now that we kind of know what talents are, like what they do, not what they do, but like single target versus AoE, let's talk really quick about the stats. So stats in Legion Remix are going to be interesting. So one thing you're going to want to focus on is your mastery for Ret Paladins. Now this is definitely better single target, but it's good for everything. And since it's good for everything, and later on you probably will want more single target, it's good to kind of focus mastery. But critical strike's also really, really good, and haste is fine as well. Generally speaking, you probably want to go like mastery, crit, haste in that order, and you don't really need versatility for anything. Although it can be fun. This is a remix, right? You can make a full versatility build. I did that in Mop Remix. It was actually kind of fun, a full verse build. But you can go like mastery, crit, haste, or you could even go like crit, mastery, haste, right? If you're like, I only care about AoEing, because crit's always going to have a little bit more value in the AoE situations. So you could say, I only care about AoEing. I'm going to go crit, mastery, haste. Other than that, you kind of want to go like mastery, crit, haste. That's a little bit more rounded, depending on what your goals are for Legion Remix, right? So that's kind of one you're going to want to focus with stats. Now, the gear can also have like speed and leech and avoidance on it. Once you start doing the mythic raids, the avoidance can actually be pretty nice to survive, especially if you're trying to solo them. If you're going to go do that. Just for leveling and just for the stuff like that, I would, speed's really, really cool and fun to have, just so you can run around really fast and do everything. And again, this is kind of just based on your goals. And I would also tell you, if you're new, if you didn't do Mop Remix or whatever, try not to switch. You don't work. Don't try not to. If you like doing it, then do it. But don't worry about switching your gear every single time you get an upgrade, because you're going to get constantly barraged with gear, and then you open up your little forge and you can, remove it or whatever with the forge, or the forge here in Dalaran. And don't worry about upgrading every piece of gear. Maybe every few levels, go ahead and check on it and do it like that. So that's what I would say about the gear. It can be a bit overwhelming with everything in your bag and stuff like that. If there's a big upgrade, something like 50, 80, 100 item levels higher, obviously that's probably a good thing to maybe start replacing it. Now next, before we'll talk a little bit about actual ways to level and stuff like that, but let's go ahead and talk about the weapon artifact thing, because I think there's some interesting things to talk about here. Now you have to fill out this left side, so you fill out the whole left side here, and then if you just want straight damage, right, as of now, this track here with Twisted Crusade is actually going to be your most powerful track. Now this is just straight damage though. That's if you want to just do max damage, and that's very valuable in Legion Remix, but there's other options as well. The top option also does damage. It's more of like almost like a hunter or pet, focus thing. In the middle, we actually have a what I think is actually, for me, is the coolest one, and what maybe I'll eventually play for fun or something, is this middle one. This does like more of like a damage plus defense, so it's kind of more of a tank one in some ways. because it is damage plus defense. But defense can be important in Legion Remix and surviving, especially once you start soloing stuff if you try to do that. Then down here we have another really good damage one, but it's more like shaman themed or whatever. It's just not quite as good as this one, but it also depends, it could also depend like what exact content you're doing as well, right? So this line is another one, and maybe this is the line where maybe later on I'm like, okay, this is actually the best line to take, right? And later on, a couple weeks from now, a week from now, whatever, right? Down here at the bottom we have the one that's more themed towards Paladin, but this one, unfortunately, if you're only worried about doing damage, does like a lot of healing stuff as well. So it's more of a healer based one is the reality of it. But you could play this as a Ret Paladin as well if you wanted to. I just am here to tell you that this is the line that does the most damage, and so you fill out this line if you want to do the absolute most damage, take the final thing, and then just keep powering up. Obviously, I don't know you could just unclick and unlearn if you want to reorganize your talents or whatever. I had assumed that it was that easy, but yeah, you can play around with it if you like. Basically, it's this, and this could just get nerfed, but Twisted Crusade just basically does a bajillion damage, and so this could just get nerfed and then automatically make another line better. But this is essentially why, if you want to know why this line's so strong, this ability is just absolutely insane. If you've already done some dungeons or something like that, and you looked at somebody on details or recon or whatever, you might see Twisted or some demon ability #1. It's this thing. It's just so much damage. So that could be nerfed, quite frankly. But as of now, again, this early on beginner's guide or getting started guide, Twisted Crusade line is kind of where the power's at. All right, so next let's talk about once you start getting your necklace and your rings and your trinkets, you'll start seeing that you can get extra like abilities on them. These are going to kind of mirror what we just talked about, these abilities on this artifact tree, and they kind of just add other ranks to them. Well, let's talk about which ones are the strongest and which you want to kind of go for. Now, you can only have 2 of each. Right now, the strongest one is Touch of Malice. So if you get Touch of Malice, that's the strongest one. So you'd want to get 2 of those. So you could have a 1 on your necklace and ring, 2 on your rings, whatever. But you can only have 2. And if you can, you want to get 2. These are just abilities that proc that do lots of damage, basically. So Touch of Malice is the best one. Then we have Lurker from Below. This is also a really good one. So then you'd want 2 of these, if possible. So I have a Lurker on my ring and on my trinket. And then the third best damage one is going to be this Volatile Magic. So I have it on my ring. So I actually have the setup right now of like a complete build. Obviously, I want to get higher item level and everything like that, right? But I have a Touch of Malice, or 2 Tears, 2 Touch of Malice, and a Volatile Magic. So in order, that is 2 Volatile or 2 Touch of Malice, right? 2 Lurkers, and a Volatile Magic. Those are what you want to shoot for the best damage. Just like everything else, if you do just want to play around with some other things, Absorb Shields, which are pretty cool. There's other stuff to play around with. Those are just the ones that are going to do the most damage for you. And again, those could get tuned as well with the tuning pass or whatever. But as of right now, for this beginner guide, that's where we are. So that's where we are on that. When it comes to actually playing and leveling up your character, once you get to 25, you're going to get a quest, and you can come over to this Forge thing, and you can turn on Heroic World Tier. Now, if you want to level up fast and you want to get power faster, then I recommend turning it on. Ret Paladin definitely can survive the Heroic World Tier even early on, but stuff is rough, especially early on. If you turn it on right when you get the ability to turn on Heroic World Tier, the mobs in the open world will be hard to kill. There's no doubt about it, but it also makes you level up a lot faster. It's completely up to you. Some other people are leveling in normal tier, and then when their dungeon queue pops, they're like hearthing back here and turning on heroic for the dungeon or whatever. I don't even know if that actually helps anymore. It's something that people were doing on the PTR. I actually don't know if that actually still works or helps, but I know people were doing that on the PTR and likely still are doing it until someone posts something saying that it doesn't work, if it doesn't work. That's an option as well. But the Heroic World Tier, that can be good. Basically, also, you kind of want to come back here and turn in these quests to Eternus when you get an opportunity to. You don't have to come back every single quest you get done, but it's also good so you can get another thing, so you get all of your, whatever they're called. They're like almost like daily like little chores or whatever that you have to do. and getting those things done as well for Eternus. And yeah, you just, do everything here. Other than that, I don't know if there's really much else to say. As a Ret Paladin, again, since there might be some people that are new to Ret Paladin, normally in my videos, it's like some pretty diehard Ret Paladins on retail. But since there's a lot more opportunity to have new players in here, you basically want to use your Word of Glory to heal. Like, let's say you turn on that heroic world tier and you're struggling to stay alive. If you just use your Word of Glory to heal yourself, especially when you're low health, because this talent up here, Healing Hands, it makes your Word of Glory do more healing when you're low health or whatever. Use it when you're low health. Use it, when you will run out of mana using it. But if you use that during the world tier and then just keep waiting until your Twisted Crusade is up or whatever, that ability is going to carry you unless it gets nerfed, right? And it very well could. Again, this is not supposed to be too in-depth here. So again, if you want really more in-depth on how to play Ret Paladin, you can check out my 11.2 guide. I'll have everything in there of how to actually play the class. When it comes to Legion Remix, you're basically just doing the same kind of things you would do on retail, right? Remember, this is Legion, but this is not, we are still in the War Within spec. We are still the War Within abilities. So keep that in mind as well. So all the stuff from the War Within applies to here. It's just a little bit modified and a little bit different with abilities and stuff. So that's it for everyone. Good luck to everybody on your crusade here on Legion Remix. I'll have more updates as we go. Like I said, once I get to max level, maybe I'll do like an update to see any changes that have happened. Maybe there's been nerfs to that talent or whatever. And I can actually just put the builds in the video so you don't have to go to another video. I wish I could just send my retail build, but it wouldn't work. Unless you're max level, I guess it would work. But that's just going to confuse people. Frankly, is just the reality there. So yeah, that'll be it for this one, guys. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. Subscribing helps me out the most. If you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to check out the Patreon. Other than that, everybody, have a good one.